Operation GCD with an Appalachian grin. Adventures and shenanigans, we're diving right in. Out in the holler where the secrets creep, garbage can dudes digging mighty deep. Secret societies, shadows in the pines. Operation GCD of American rebels design. Double J searching deep in his brain hole, past layers of melted hops and bone resin. From cults to cover-ups, we're talking about all of that. So watch your sixth friend and the truth we trust. The world's a puzzle, grunge rock ain't what it seems. Ancient alien cargo cults haunt the moon's pale beams. Cincinnati schemers, history's a haze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze. Operation GCD with an Appalachian grin. Adventures and shenanigans, we're diving right in. Join us on the journey and enjoy the show. Thanks for joining us to get a little GC. The world's a puzzle, grunge rock ain't what it seems. Ancient alien cargo cults haunt the moon's pale beam. Cincinnati schemers, history's a haze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze. Hell, the world's a puzzle, grunge rock ain't what it seems. Ancient alien cargo cults haunt the moon's pale beams. Cincinnati schemers, history's a haze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze. Operation GCD with an Appalachian grin. Adventures and shenanigans, we're diving right in. Out in the holler where the secrets creep, garbage can dudes digging mighty deep. Secret societies, shadows in the pines. Operation GCD of American rebels design. Double J searching deep in his brain hole, past layers of melted hops and bone resin. From cults to cover-ups, we're talking about all of that. So watch your sixth friend and the truth we trust. The world's a puzzle, grunge rock ain't what it seems. Ancient alien cargo cults haunt the moon's pale beams. Cincinnati schemers, history's a haze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze. Operation GCD with an Appalachian grin. Adventures and shenanigans, we're diving right in. Join us on the journey and enjoy the show. Thanks for joining us to get a little GC. The world's a puzzle, grunge rock ain't what it seems. Ancient alien cargo cults haunt the moon's pale beam. Cincinnati schemers, history's a haze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze. Hell, the world's a puzzle, grunge rock ain't what it seems. Ancient alien cargo cults haunt the moon's pale beams. Cincinnati schemers, history's a haze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze.
Howdy, folks. Your host, Double J, back here, coming at you live from my studio/RV dining room, located directly inside America. Anyhow, folks of the interwebs, punctual as usual here at Operation GCD. Anyhow, I am your host of Operation GCD, JJ Vance here. Well, there it is. And perhaps most notably, not the vice president. Anyhow, we'll be your pilot and navigator here tonight. Thanks. First of all, folks of the interwebs, thanks for joining me here tonight to get a little GCD. We'll be your pilot and navigator here tonight for this shenanigan-infused journey into the mind of this particular garbage can dude. Looks like we got a Camel's Hump update. Yes, sir. Update from the Green Mountains. Camel's Hump has gotten its first frosty tips this week. Yep. It's about that time of year. I used to go fishing up until about this time of year there. It's about the cutoff, sir. So, anyhow, folks of the interwebs, not going to lie to you, got a real barn burner here on deck for y'all tonight. Going to do the anatomy of the Satanic Panic. The ongoing tales and the life and crimes of, despite both of these men being deceased, the ongoing tales and the life and crimes of the Muppet, everyone's favorite Muppet, Mikey Aquino. Everyone's favorite psyops to mind more, psychological warfare officer, allegedly a Green Beret. I'd like to see some documentation that this fat, doughy bastard passed any such physical fitness exams for special forces. But it is the tales of his quote-unquote satanic panic that we're in the psyops to mind more that we're still under today. In fact, folks of the interwebs, I'm not sure if you're aware of this. We're in year 45 plus of that panic. So we'll be going over more tales tonight of this Muppet and his pal, Laser Tag Ted.
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
Watch out, folks. They did indeed. Well, allegedly, at least. I've seen no evidence. They got Ted twice. And in fact, I may have located the source of those two lasers as depicted here in this Muppet art. So before I get any further into those tales and our free Patreon preview here tonight, folks of the interwebs, check the rest of this program out over at where it is, patreon.com/Operation GCD. And we'll be going over phase 1 of the propaganda and campaigns of this panic. I'm panicked, folks. This is year 45. Every year of my life has been a panic, apparently. So we're going to go through the concepts of Satan's in your ear hole, see the origin and inceptions of those ideas from John Todd, the evangelical preacher fella in the Christian movement, and his pal Mike Warnke. Now, I don't know if Mike Warnke's a kid diddler or Nazi, but I know John Todd is. Just saying. So they both did the same kind of activities there from 1975 to 1980. That's phase 1. Now, the Nazi Satanist propagandists, Aquino's buddies, they all want you to believe that the panic started in 1980. And while I do feel very panicked, it obviously begins on July 15th, 1975 with Mike Warnke. And what Mike Warnke and John Todd are saying, they're doing the same stuff. In fact, they have public beefs, as we've briefly gone over previously here, folks of the interwebs. They've had public beefs. You're telling me, Jimmy Bobby, there might be a burger element to all this. Let's check with Phil Retarded on that. But John Todd and Mike Warnke had public beefs. They were doing the same things in the same circuits. And they both got ousted as fraudsters. Now, Warnke never got the diddler handle as far as any accusations go that I'm familiar with, but they both claim to be former satanic priests and then turned evangelical preachers. And they were telling everybody that Satan's in your ear hole in the music, and in fact, the Dungeons and Dragons was initiating your children into Satanism. Now, there's probably a lot to be said about those topics. Again, there's a lot of controlled opposition, not just Laser Tag Ted. So when we see these matters popping off and we see the controlled nature of them, it is the same pattern of behavior, the same Laser Tag Ted pattern of behavior. Because after Mike Warnke in phase 1, in 1980, when phase 2 begins, not two lasers, phase 2 begins, we see that old Satan's in your ear hole is evolved. It's now being financed by Charles Manson's friends, the PMRC, the Public Muppet Resource Center. That's not what it means, but it is financed by the Beach Boys. Tipper Gore, Al Gore's wife, is the front of it, and it's interesting how it's sold. It's never sold as being a movement by and financed by Charles Manson's friends. The Parents Music Resource Center, aka the Parents Muppet Resource Center, was founded in May of 1985. The group's formation was cemented. This is Wikipedia, folks. It's the source of all information on the interwebs. This indeed is an actual fact. The group's formation was cemented with the financial help of Mike Love of the Beach Boys and Joseph Coors. So Mike Love of the Beach Boys, eh? You mean to tell me Charles Manson's friend, huh? Why is it that every time we start unpacking all of these matters here on our Thursdays, technically it's Monday, Thursdays on Monday, and it's 2 volumes here tonight. We got volume 18 and 19, because we're talking about how the Satan in your ear hole from phase 1 into phase 2 with the PMRC, disregard John Todd and Mike Warnke in phase 1, how that evolves into PMRC phase 2, and it's all Satan shit. Friends of Charles Manson or with John Todd and Mike Warnke, fraudsters of a satanic variety. And with John Todd's example, kid diddling Nazi. And it's strange because we'll explore some of these concepts and how these men they're described today, Warnke and Todd, both from the satanic propagandists and from the Christian folks. Because to some Christian folks, this kid diddling Nazi Satanist John Todd is indeed, and fraudster, mind you, is indeed some sort of hero. And I don't quite understand that, but here's a clip to introduce what I'm talking about.
John Todd. John Todd claimed he was a former witch, high-ranking witch, 3rd-generation family.
Okay.
His other last name is Collins. And the Collins is supposed to be like a witch bloodline.
Oh.
He oversaw the music industry.
Oh.
Yeah, and he would talk about how they would do seances and stuff to put curses in music, and how all the record labels were all controlled by witches.
Yeah.
And this was at the time where a lot of that stuff was coming out. You play a record backwards and stuff like that, and you get this different things. And all of the artists were saying they're selling their soul to the devil.
Yeah.
All of them were like taking drugs and then having visions, and then that's where they would get their music from.
Whoa.
And he's like, all that is witchcraft.
Whoa. And we're going to explore some of these concepts around John Todd. I just like mocking that lady for some reason. She seemed like a real Muppet to me. Anyhow, yes, sir. Double J brought to you by Double R. I don't think we've seen RR channel here tonight, but once you invoke the devil's name, they did, as the saying goes, RR channel shows up. Anyhow.
Oh, wait. Was she a great big fat person?
Oh, wait. Yes, sir, Jonah. Despite not being Asian, I do math fairly well, and I agree. It is 50 years. However, the Nazi Satanist propagandist, Michael Aquino and gang, and everyone who recites his same telemarketing script, well, they all want us to believe, and again, they want us to believe, not our senses, but they want us to believe their propaganda in the sense that all of this began in 1980. That's all we see over and hear over and over again from these Muppets.
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
In the trailer, it mentioned a book called Michelle Remembers. Can you tell us about that book, Michelle Remembers, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Victoria, so Michelle Remembers is by 2 authors from Victoria.
Which some Canadian psychiatrist said that his wife, under hypnosis, had recalled being mangled, by the Church of Satan when she was a kid. Well, we never had any Church of Satan in Canada.
Station at the preschool. The author of Michelle Remembers, co-author of Michelle Remembers, Lawrence Pazder, comes to speak to the parents about the crimes of satanic ritual abuse and what to look for and that type of thing. So you have all the makings of a moral panic, and then Ted Gunderson comes in too.
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
The reason that it fizzled out as a fad, finally the FBI did a major study on the whole notion of satanic child abuse and just said this whole thing is a crock, and there's never been one verified instance of it anywhere.
I personally come from a really cynical, skeptical family. So, like, there's a couple characters in the film that I think people can learn a lot from: the FBI agent Ken Lanning and the investigative journalist Debbie Nathan. I think everyone needs some more skepticism in their lives. Ask people questions, ask why, right? And also take the time to think.
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
Martin, and you can see, because this comes into play later on, Ted Gunderson claimed to find tunnels underground in McMartin, but it seems if kids were talking about tunnels at McMartin, there were these colorful boxes that were built by one of the people who ran the McMartin preschool, and they would make these tunnels that the kids could go through. They would usually put them in this kind of horseshoe formation, and they could crawl about through the boxes. So those are the real tunnels of McMartin.
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
Folks, watch out. They got Ted. Ted's down. They got him twice. So we're going to be exploring more of the propagandas around these things, the telemarketing scripts that seem to persist. And, again, we hear the landing report. That's phase 2 into phase 3 in 1992 of this panic, these different phases, the evolutions, the lessons learned and the things that were changed. Back to the drawing board. Get Ken Lanning from the Behavioral Analysis Unit. Those analysts at Quantico who brought us the term serial killer. We explored that some last week, how their profiling of this new term, serial killer 1978, was all bullshit. In fact, brought to us by John Wayne Gacy's childhood friend and Boy Scout member, associate. I don't know what they do. Who knows? Anyhow, we're going to be exploring that. And then, of course, the landing report, which is the penultimate guide to knowing that the FBI looked into these matters, and these are not the Satanists you're looking for. So we hear a lot about this report. All the propagandists, the Nazi Satanist propagandists, they all say the same thing. Oh, well, Michelle remembers in 1980, right? And then there's the McMartin tunnels there, circa 1990, of course, as the tail end of that. We heard Lucy and Greaves shitcoat in the matter, showing pictures of a tunnel, cardboard tunnels made by children that was dated 1962, which is in fact 4 years prior to the actual construction of the McMartin preschool. So that's how these propagandists operate. Not only they build straw men in their arguments, not only they laugh at all these fucking victims, they they like to defer and deter the actual facts or statements you're making and try to create a dispute amongst these issues. And we'll see that more and more as we unpack more of their propaganda here. But it is the matters surrounding Ted and his 2 lasers that I'm most concerned about here, folks. Did Ted get shot by some lasers? If so, were these the lasers that he got shot by? And I don't want to get too far ahead of things here tonight, folks, of the interwebs. But we'll be unpacking the landing report. We'll listen to Kenneth Lanning himself, in fact.
Right. Today, I'm here with Ken Lanning. I had the opportunity to interview Ken about 4 years ago now. It's a fantastic interview, and it's awesome to have you back. How are you doing today, Ken?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good.
Well, it's good to have you. And you know what? We're just going to get right into it. We talked about some of these things before, and you've mentioned that a lot of your story comes out of confirmation bias. Do you want to go into that?
Well, yeah. What I came to the realization is we started to talk about this phenomenon that I began to get consulted on starting in the early 1980s.
So we'll talk about that Muppet, the infamous Lanning report, who comes from Quantico's Behavioral Analyst Unit, the folks who bring us the improper profile and terminology of serial killers, and grew up with John Wayne Gacy. Hey, what I often argue, folks of the interwebs, is these folks all know each other. We'll see more of that tonight. In fact, Ken Lanning is doing a circuit a couple years ago, along with those Satan Wants You documentary filmmakers we saw there in the telemarketing script clip. We've unpacked some of their shenanigans, and not the good kind, previously here before on Thursdaze, Operation GCD Thursdays. And I do thank you folks of the interwebs for joining me here tonight for our Satan double feature, Satan's in Your Ear Hole and the Lanning report. So the Lanning report, homeboy there is doing a circuit. He doesn't do a lot of interviews, but he's doing a circuit at the same time the Satan Wants You folks are doing a documentary circuit and release of their film. And they're both, as we'll hear, as we've already heard briefly there from the documentarians, they're both hyping each other up. It's almost like a very well-manufactured and organized affair. one might say. I wouldn't know. I'm panicked. I have no time for these matters. I'm too panicked. We're in year 45, folks, of this panic. So, yeah, I mean, he's a mouthpiece, isn't he, for a lot of propaganda, sir? Uncle Ted, you're always on target with your analysts. Speaking of analysts, we're going to be unpacking more of those matters. Looking at the PMRC. Why wouldn't it be Al Gore's wife that brings us these things? And I love it when these propagandists make my point, because we'll see they're talking about that Geraldo show a lot. We'll unpack tonight, and how that was used to kind of make a joke of all these matters. So that's kind of what I was emphasizing before, with how Geraldo was utilized throughout these instances and affairs. And one other thing I like to consider, looking back here in a historical kind of fashion, is the impact this had on society and how it was being described at the time, contemporary to events. So obviously we had the Satan's in Your Ear Hole with Mike Warnke and John Todd, 75, 78 is when that began, phase one. They would also describe, again, the Dungeons and Dragons stuff. And then by the 80s, that would evolve into 1980s prime time. There's 3 channels on TV. Prime time, made-for-TV movie starring Tom Hanks.
Robbie!
Robbie! Robbie!
Robbie! Robbie! Pardue, what are you doing?
Going to join the Great Hall.
You can't. It's a trap.
I have spells. I'm going to fly.
He's got spells. He can fly. Now, I think this is an old Bill Hicks / Alex Jones joke. However, if Homeboy thought he could fly, why wouldn't he start from the first floor and not the top of the World Trade Centers? I feel pretty panicked. I'm sure a lot of folks were pretty panicked when generating this nonsense, but this is the controlled narrative I'm talking about. It's not just Laser Tag Ted. It's not just Charles Manson's friends. Nicholas Schreck, Boyd Rice, Ira Reiner, the LA County prosecutor who would unprosecute that McMartin case after the previous LA County prosecutor brought the charges. In the first press conference, that prosecutor stated this was concerning child pornography. Well, that's another pattern of behavior across all these matters, the matters of child pornography. But that's laughed at, much like a lot of these things are laughed at by these folks. And we're told that these are not the Satanists you're looking for. You should feel panicked. So we'll be exploring more of those aspects tonight here, folks of the interwebs. And looking at some of that contemporary news coverage, it is kind of interesting. We'll take a quick gander.
Is connected to devil worship. That's the focus tonight of Lonnie Lardner's special report on Satanism. But we want to warn you now that some things you're about to see and hear might be too graphic for children. Lonnie.
Well, Terry, authorities tell us that the most serious or perhaps the most dangerous kind of devil worship comes in the form of underground cults. Most of them are very secretive, usually organizing clandestine rituals in the dark of night. Well, those ceremonies sometimes involve the sharing of animal blood to gain power, they say, but cult members believe their strength really comes from secrecy.
There's secrecy that...
Secrecy? Well, that means no one's going to talk about it. Huh. Folks always say, well, if someone's not going to talk about it, well, there's all these cults out there. No one's going to talk about it. Well, again, if the cult's based upon kind of a blood in, blood out secret ritual, which time and time again, that is what's indicated. Well, then folks were like, oh, I'm not. We live in a Muppet world, folks. Too many people buy into this propaganda, and we're told not to trust our own eyes and ear holes. Do not trust your senses, folks. These are not the Satanists you're looking for. That's what Muppet Mikey Aquino and gang will have you believe. But again, it's the same cast of characters. It's not always the information being purveyed, but also the source, and also why are they doing this? These are the things that I'm concerned about, on and above, the attacks of lasers.
There's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
You need to watch out, folks. I got Ted twice. So when we're looking at these things in the contemporary reports, and again, it's always the same cast of characters.
Contrary to popular belief of Satanists being animal killers, we believe that animals and small children are the highest form of magic, and therefore it would be completely sacrilegious to harm these beings.
Completely sacrilegious. They always have the same reactions, don't they? Mocking, very talking down to folks. They're like, oh, how dare you even question these very realistic and actually reasonable questions you have about all these satanic ritual sacrifices, homicides, etc. Because it is not just the humans. Again, time and time again, the pattern of behavior also includes the animals. And if you look at the contemporary reports, even back in the 80s, they're talking about it. We're not, these are things we're told, pay no attention to these matters today. There's been a lid put on a lot of these things. Maybe. All right. These damn gremlins tonight, folks. I'll tell you what.
Keeps us powerful.
And power, according to this man, is what true Satanists are guaranteed. Police and Sheriff's Department investigators say satanic cults often find that power in animal sacrifice. Photographs support their theory, and some self-proclaimed devil worshippers tout it.
Your favorite artist?
Oh, that's strange. I was told there was no Satanists. I was told that I'm feeling pretty panicked, folks. So we saw a picture of, we saw old Anton LaVey's daughter, Zena LaVey. There is, in fact, a conspiracy theory, and these two folks look identical. Use your fucking senses, folks, of the interwebs. That's what I advocate. Use your brain hole for God's intended purposes, and I repeat, I'm not the vice president, but God did not intend folks to use their brain as an oversized paperweight. So I'm just saying. So if you want to understand maybe some more noided thoughts I have regarding the whole idea of Satan in your ear hole and how it evolves, these concepts and activities, well, if Taylor Swift is indeed the daughter of Zena LaVey, wouldn't that be fancy? Because it seems like there's this craze around Taylor Swift that is basically a magical spell of sorts. I witnessed it myself. As far as the activities go, when Taylor Swift invaded Cincinnati 2 years ago, literally every hotel within a 60 or so mile radius was booked up for a multi-day stay and shows for Taylor Swift. It was Looney Tunes. But speaking of Looney Tunes, while folks are listening to, hey, watch out. While folks are listening to those Looney Tunes at the Taylor Swift concert, apparently they're getting MK Ultra liked. I don't know, because there's this thing called Taylor Swift concert amnesia. You ain't got to take my word for it, folks.
In concert, only to get home and realize you can't actually remember their performance. It might sound crazy, or at least quite unusual, but since the start of Taylor Swift's tour, that is precisely what some fans say has been happening to them. It's a phenomenon called transient global amnesia. And to tell us a bit about it, our science editor, Julia Seeger, is with me in the studio. Julia, first of all, what are we talking about here?
Hi, Nadia. So indeed, it did happen to French fans, but also fans in the United States, and tickets there are thousands of euros. But they're called Swifties, right? The Taylor Swift fans, and they all reported some of them reported not being able to recall Taylor Swift's performance during the Eras tour. Now, some don't remember the color of her outfits or choreographies, but for others, it's a total blackout. They don't remember some entire portions of her show, but they always vividly remember whatever happened before the show.
I wonder if things in their ear holes. They already got the medical folks out here explaining it for why that's not the case. You know what I mean? They got to have their medical explanations. It's like, the Lanning report of the matter. There's nothing to see here, folks. Taylor Swift fans report amnesia following Eras shows. That's interesting to me because, if you want to think about these ideas of Satan in your ear hole and whatever the fuck's going on with all this satanic music, well, makes you wonder, folks. Makes me wonder, at least. And on that note, you may be thinking, well, what? Taylor Swift's not relevant to these kind of matters. I'd beg to differ. Because here's one interesting fun fact. Well, besides, again, this craze. So, like I said, I watched it go down in Cincinnati. $1,024 for a Days Inn room. Taylor Swift concert has Cincinnati hotels sold out. That, let's be honest about the situation, folks of the interwebs. I don't know the specific Days Inn room they're referring to there. I'm going to go ahead and state, though, based upon my experiences with understanding what a Days Inn is, that room is probably less than $100. And knowing that area of town, be it Cincinnati, it was very likely in the ballpark of $50 or $60 a night. And yet when Taylor Swift comes to town, we're going to see an exponential increase in the cost of that room, and possibly an exponential increase in Satanism. Satan in your ear hole. Just saying. What's causing this craze? Why are folks so crazed to go see Taylor Swift that's going to cause an exponential increase in the volume of capacities at local hotel chains, and then raise the roof with the not the red roof, but this roof, the Days Inn roof, with its prices? So makes you wonder. Yes, sir. Swifties, Benjamin Salinas. The Swifties got Swifty and went through the T-Swift cornhole portal. There's something weird going on there, sir. There is something not right about that situation. And again, these concepts that start with John Todd, I'm just saying as far as publicly discussed, right? Publicly discussing the Satan in your earhole concepts begin with John Todd and Mike Warnke in 1976. It evolves into PMRC, Charles Manson's friends. But again, we see it continuing in the Orange era. If these are again the concepts around what I'm discussing with Taylor Swift, I'm sure there's other folks on the interwebs discussing some similar concepts based upon these principles of this amnesia. But what I'm saying here is, if Satan is in our ear holes, and this is an example of that, perhaps, well, that may explain this craze, because we see this again here in Kansas City. In their Orange era, Kansas City businesses continue to ride the wave of Taylor Swift craze. Are these folks under a spell? Is Satan in their ear hole? Just saying. It's possible, right? Seems plausible at this rate. Who the fuck wants to see Taylor Swift? First of all, she looks like a dude. Secondly, I've seen them dance moves, and I've seen better dance moves from a male, like a dude crackhead on the corner. That's what I'm saying. She does not look attractive. She does not have some sort of hypnotic, whatever. She's gyrating, looking like a crackhead, like a dude crackhead, when she's up there gyrating. So that's all I'm saying. I don't know what's going on there. The music does not sound, I repeat, does not sound objectively good to me. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But Taylor Swift's far-reaching impact, we could be recruiting future Cincinnatians. What the fuck does that mean? Not this guy. So, and on top of that, would you believe that one of the top Taylor Swifties, the Swifties, one of the top ones, actually helped solve one of the Phase 4 satanic ritual homicides, satanic serial killers, Phoenix program come home, Colby's queers, including of which Michael Aquino from the Phoenix program helped weaponize Christianity here in America to help cause this panic, weaponizing Christianity through the promotion and creation of Satanism, public Satanism. This shit existed before in an underground format. That's not the reason why the folks are in your face all about it. That's not the reason why their satanic church is public, and not the reason why these serial killers display their victims in a Phoenix program style fashion in which to scare the shit out of the public. Like when Israel Keys allegedly, and I do stress allegedly because the Vermont State Police, as I covered in my Sunday show a few weeks back, the Operation Gladio tactics I'm describing here having an impact on society. Well, I watched it. I seen it. The folks of Vermont there altered their way of life when it came to the activities of allegedly Israel Keys. So the courier couple that's allegedly kidnapped from their home invasion style in Essex, Vermont, June of 2011, turns out Vermont State Police says they're still alive. The Federal Bureau of Investigation says they're dead, and Israel Keys did it. Nonetheless, it doesn't matter, because Israel Keys still owns property in New York. That also really doesn't matter, other than he's probably still alive. And my point being there is I seen it change and alter the impact of the way folks live. Start locking their doors, being all afraid and shit. My point there is that is what I'm saying by Colby's queers, Operation Gladio, Phoenix program, satanic serial killers come home. It's what Muppet Mikey Aquino is well-versed in by his own accord. We've heard him say in his own admissions how he weaponized the local religions and folklore of Southeast Asia during his Viet fucking Nam years under Bill Colby in Saigon directly, by the way. And then we see the Phoenix program come home with Bill Colby being, I'm just dropping a lot of Bill Colby's, hoping RR would show up. Bill Colby. So we see that when Bill Colby comes back as a CIA director, well, so does this sudden onslaught of domestic terror and ritual human sacrifice, satanic serial killers. So Dave McKeano, Dave McKeano, get out of here, dude. Dave McGowan was right in his program to kill him, which is why Muppet Mikey Aquino got so butthurt in August of 2001, had to write him a couple of emails. We've gone over those emails, the dialogue with the devil on Dave's website, the Center for Informed America. I like the humor. But we see those emails. He's repeating that same telemarketing script we've already seen. So That's why he's so butthurt, is because Dave was spot on. And not only that, we can see the evolutions of this with the smiley face killers. We also see those FBI Muppets at the analysts at Quantico, the behavioral analysis unit, the same folks that bring us serial killers, the term, and the incorrect profile, brought to us by John Wayne Gacy's childhood friend, that wrestler Muppet, amongst others. But he's the one who coined the term serial killer. And we see that they do the Lanning report. That's where old Ken Lanning, the Muppet, comes from, that same unit. And then in 2008, in April, they write a report called the Midwest Drowning Deaths. And they say, nuh-uh. We looked at all those cases in La Crosse. There's no one killing these young men. So that is the evolution in the smiley face killer victims, the epicenter of activity in La Crosse in the early aughts that caused that report. And yeah, they do the same general. The FBI is up to their same tactics here, folks. Their same muppetry. You know, if I always tell folks, if you expect them to uninvestigate things, you'll never be disappointed. We see by his, oh shit, how dare I? And lo and behold, I start cursing. I bring in the devil's name, and the devil does indeed show up. RR channel, good to see you, sir. And by good to see you, I mean awful to see you. Good to see that you're always wrong and you're right on time when I start dropping Bill Colby's name, sir. Tell those Muppets at Langley I said, go fuck yourself. So anyhow, my point being on all of that was, that's funny. No, that's good stuff. He popped up right on time, didn't he? You don't disappoint there, RR. So anyhow, before we go any further here on tonight's fun-filled Satanic Journeys, my point being, a lot of these matters is we see these things in real time. Well, not real time. We see them looking in the past now. We see the impact it has. And when we're looking at a matter such as the smiley face killers and that phase 4 evolution of this ritual human sacrifice, satanic serial killers, we see a Swiftie help solve one of the SFK crimes, so to speak. One of the top Swifties, nonetheless. And that is the case of Riley Strain, that occurred in Nashville, Tennessee, back in St. Patrick's Day, March of 2023. Does that sound right? March 2024. I'm just making things up at this point. I have a clip. Let's just watch the clip. I'm lost in Muppet world here, folks. But, speaking of Garth Brooks being a serial killer, folks often look at the fact that Riley Strain was last seen at Luke Bryan's bar there in Nashville. Well, the bar, he got kicked out of that in the foyer of that bar. He never made it in. He actually had spent an hour and a half or so approximately at Garth Brooks' bar in the immediately preceding their venture to that. He's a fraternity boy from Missouri. You'd figured them fraternity brothers would take care of their own. Apparently not. Anyhow, he gets kicked out, never seen again for a week. They find his body upstream. This is a classic SFK situation. But during that time, a Swiftie and a very other interesting character along with her found Riley Strain's credit card on the banks of the river there in Nashville, amongst a litany of litter and homeless encampments. These two young gals were just strolling past. And, oh, look, there's Riley Strain's credit card. That's totally normal, right? Why this Green Bay, Wisconsin Swiftie was in Nashville is, I don't think, has ever been explained. Not that I've looked for, but lo and behold, if Satan is on rehearsals through what's her name? Taylor Swift's music there, and it is causing that craze. It makes you wonder, what is a Taylor Swiftie one of the top Taylor Swifties doing, getting herself somehow involved in this SFK murder? Just saying.
Missing University of Missouri student Riley Strain. More than a week after Strain disappeared while on a fraternity trip in Nashville, his bank card is discovered on an embankment by the Cumberland River. There was also a body discovered in the river today, but it is believed to be Riley. News 2's Nikki McGee is live for us right now with the latest. Nikki?
Yeah, Kinley, well, today I've been speaking with two girls who have been searching this area behind me. This leads up to the Cumberland River, and I want to show you, you can take a look down here. It's just filled with lots of debris and lots of trash, so certainly more spots to check, but they do tell me at the very bottom of it is where they did discover Riley's credit card. Family have since been on scene, as well as detectives talking to these girls who made the discovery. Family tells me police have...
I
look more into cold cases, I guess, ones that are from like the 90s and the early 2000s that are unsolved. And I spend a lot of time digging into those, and I'll actually privately message officers and stuff like that, going back and forth with that. But I lived 20 minutes away from this, and so once I heard it was happening and nothing was happening, Tuesday night I came down here with my boyfriend and we were like, let's go walk it.
Top Swiftie from Green Bay, you just heard there. You saw all the trash there. They walked past that trash. Yes, Riley Lively. Yes, that's correct, ma'am. Yes, the other gal there was Anna Clendenning, and I know the Clendennings. They hail from Logan County, West Virginia. I know that place. Anyhow, what's a Green Bay, Wisconsin Taylor Swiftie doing in Nashville solving fucking crimes of a satanic ritual human sacrifice variety on a mound site there, as oftentimes that is the pattern with these smiley face killer victims. That's strange. There's a lot of Crowleyites that like mounds, specifically the Typhonian Order. I've unpacked some of the instances of that around Ohio, Kentucky, and Wisconsin. Oh, weird. Wisconsin, huh? Like Green Bay, where that Swiftie's from. Who knows? You never know, right? You never know. Just saying, what's she doing in Nashville? How and what in Sam Houston is going on with skirting all that trash? And then you're like, oh, I found this credit card. A week after this man disappeared, the same day his body's found. Get the fuck out of here. We live in a Muppet world, folks. We live in a Muppet world. Those folks of this Muppet world, those of the RR variety, they've been doing a lot of the decision making in this Muppet world for way too long, in my opinion. I'm just saying. So before we go any further, thanks for joining me here tonight. We get a little GCD here, folks of the interwebs, on our Satan double feature. Satan's in your ear hole, the landing report. I'm panicked. Getting real panicked here. Be doing the rest of this show over at patreon.com/Operation GCD. Before we depart, though, I do have a couple administrative notes that I definitely skirted past earlier. We'll go over right now. Watch out for them lasers. They got Ted twice. That's first and foremost, folks. You're always going to want to be concerned about that. And then Operation GCD Wednesdays, I got an occult and or esoteric review of the 1978 cinematic masterpiece / shit show, satanic shit show. A little bit of both. A little dabbles in a little bit of both of those categories. Halloween. It's actually a misconstrued tale of a long lost love of Michael Myers and his sister. But these things often get misdescribed in these panics. I'm panicked. And then on Friday, of course on Thursdays, we got more adventures of Muppet Mikey, Keno, and Laser Tag Ted. We're going to do a 6 degrees, 6 degrees of my ode and salute to actor Kevin Bacon in his journey to find a new Patsy.
Get another Patsy, okay? Find somebody else.
You got it, Kevin Bacon. Tune in, folks. Tune in Thursday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Times. And then on Operation GCD Fridays, going full-blown process. Got Dana Doodah joining me here as a guest. And as a guest co-host, I'm also joined by the other JJ. Now, that dude's out there trying to out JJ me, folks. While I do, in fact, respect it, I will have absolutely none of it. No, I just like to give him a hard time. Solid, great guy, solid researcher. Like where his brain hole's at in a lot of matters. We're going full-blown process on Friday. So definitely check that out. Or you're going to want to check that out. You might learn something. So anyhow, folks of the interwebs, thanks again for joining me here tonight to get a little GCD. Patreon subscribers, appreciate your support and subscriptions there. Be seeing you over there on patreon.com/Operation GCD momentarily. Catch this broadcast in the future. Come on down. There may or may not be a burger element to all that.
Free fries when you get vaccinated? I got vaccinated. You're saying I could get this? These delicious fries? Wait a minute. But there's also a burger element to this? Let me check with Bill Neathart. Is it too early in the day to eat a burger?
Yes, let's all check with Bill Retard. There may in fact be a burger element to all this. And yes, sir. Jonah, I respect all JJs. Come on down. Whoop, that's not the right button. Anyhow, So, folks of the interwebs, yes, ma'am, Lucy Morningstar, keeping it sus 24/7. I can guarantee a couple things around here, ma'am, and that is I'm keeping it sus 24/7, and no bombs here. No bombs here. I am not the vice president. So, can we call in? Yeah, come on down. You can call in. Where are we calling into? No, I'm just joking. Yeah, patreon.com / Operation GCD. Come on down. Well, we could do some call-in sessions at the end of tonight's show for those Patreon subscribers. I hadn't really considered that. Good suggestion there, Caden Christian. I like you're not double J, you're double C, but I can respect that as well. So anyhow, on that note, I don't think I have any other messages other than thanks again for joining me here tonight to get a little GCD. Catch you folks next time. And
there's thousands of Americans out there. By the way, I've been shot with a laser beam twice.
You always got to be careful for them lasers, folks. They did, in fact, well, possibly, it's alleged at least, might happen. Got Ted twice.
Operation GCD with an Appalachian grin. Adventures and shenanigans, we're diving right in. Out in the holler where the secrets creep, garbage can dudes digging mighty deep. Secret societies, shadows in the pines. Operation GCD of American rebels design. Double J searching deep in his brain hole, past layers of melted hops and bone resin. From cults to cover-ups, we're talking about all of that. So watch your sixth friend in the truth we trust. The world's a puzzle, grunge rock ain't what it seems. Ancient alien cargo cults haunt the moon's pale beams. Cincinnati schemers, history's a haze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze. GCD with an Appalachian grin. Adventures and shenanigans, we're diving right in. Join us on the journey and enjoy the show. Thanks for joining us to get a little GCD. Yeah, the world's a puzzle, grunge rock ain't what it seems. Ancient alien cargo cults haunt the moon's pale beam. Cincinnati schemers, history's a haze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze. Hell, the world's a puzzle, grunge rock ain't what it seems. Ancient alien cargo cults haunt the moon's pale beams. Cincinnati schemers, history's a haze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze. Operation GCD with an Appalachian grin. Adventures and shenanigans, we're diving right in. Out in the holler where the secrets creep, garbage can dudes digging mighty deep. Secret societies, shadows in the pines. Operation GCD of American rebels design. Double J searching deep in his brain hole, past layers of melted hops and bone resin. From cults to cover-ups, we're talking about all of that. So watch your sixth friend in the truth we trust. The world's a puzzle, grunge rock ain't what it seems. Ancient alien cargo cults haunt the moon's pale beams. Cincinnati schemers, history's a haze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze. adventures and shenanigans, we're diving right in. Join us on the journey and enjoy the show. Thanks for joining us to get a little GCD. The world's a puzzle, brunch rock ain't what it seems. Ancient alien cargo coats haunt the moon's pale beam. Cincinnati schemers, history's a haze. Double J's on the mic, light things ablaze. Hell, the world's a puzzle, grunge rock ain't what it seems. Ancient alien cargo cults haunt the moon's pale beams. Cincinnati schemers, history's a haze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze. Double J's on the mic, lighting things ablaze.
Boom!